I keep referring to this build as my horse apartments, which I realize sounds really, really weird. I guess it's more of a neighborhood with an emphasis on the nay, but basically I just built a whole bunch of houses all on one lot using the new rent pack to try and simulate a neighborhood. So it's not really apartments at all, but it does use the apartment pack, so therefore I've been calling it my horse apartments. Also, yes, I did get a haircut yesterday. I'm still kind of like personally adjusting to this. I don't really know what I want to do with it yet, but if you're staring at me and wondering like what's different here, I cut my hair. But let's just dive right into the build because we have a whole bunch of horse apartments to make. So I built this on the 64 by 64 lot in Chestnut Ridge. That's the world that comes with Horse Ranch. And in total, we've got 3 houses and a shared barn on this lot. I was kind of trying to set it up like an actual neighborhood or like a real street with houses on it, but not like a street, more of like a country road sort of situation. It's basically just a windy dirt path in The Sims. There's not like street lights or cars or anything, obviously. And I had a lot of fun doing this, but I must say this took me a ridiculous amount of time. You probably aren't surprised by that because it's a 64 by 64 lot and there's 3 houses here. So it took me like 4 full streams to complete on my Twitch channel. We've been working on this like all week. Not really surprising, this build is absolutely massive, but it has kind of taken over my life the past few days. It all kind of started out as a joke because for some reason in my 100 baby challenge, all of the kids that have moved out have adopted so many horses. I don't know what's going on, but in that challenge, the goal is just to get your kids aged up and moved out kind of as quickly as possible. So as soon as they get A's in high school, you kick them out basically so you can have room for more kids. And at this point, I think I've had like 55 or 56 babies. It's a whole thing. It's a horrible challenge. Please don't ever do it. But I have a whole bunch of households just in my Sims world full of my kids that have moved out, like 8 Sim households all over the place full of my own children. And I also have a mod to increase the household size in my game. So my max households are not 8, it's 24. And this is normally fine and I just use it for like challenges that I'm doing and stuff, but also sometimes MC Command Center and the neighborhood stories in The Sims 4 really take advantage of this. On occasion, I'll find households that have adopted like 15 kids and there's like 20 people in the household. Sometimes they'll have like 6 dogs. And in this case, for some reason, so many of my baby challenge kids have a bunch of horses. We have more horses than we have grandkids. And considering the fact that we have 55 babies, you'd think that we'd have some more grandchildren. No, just horses, just grand horses. And when I realized this, I was actually kind of sad because I had been planning on building some sort of giant apartment building and then moving all of the baby challenge kids into it. Obviously, I can't have all 100 in my house. It's just not possible. Like it won't happen. But what I can do is buy a rental lot and then have all of the kids that have grown up live there, and then I could be their landlord and keep making money off of them, but also have the added challenge of trying to still kind of take care of them by like helping fix their issues and stuff. And so when I saw a bunch of them had horses, I was like, wait, but my plans, you're ruining my apartment plans. And then I realized that they can still live in apartments using the rent pack, even if they have a horse. I just moved them into a rental lot anyway, and it was like a tiny micro apartment, and there was like 10 Sims living there. 2 of them were horses, and they were fine. I mean, well, I wouldn't say they were fine, but it worked technically in game. And so learning that kind of sparked some inspiration of like, wait a minute, what if we built actual horse apartments? And now here we are. 12 hours later, after making this ridiculous build, we have actual horse apartments. So far in this video, you're mostly just seeing me try to lay this place out because that's half the battle with a giant build like this, is just trying to figure out where everything is gonna go and like what we need to add. I spent a long time trying to figure out where to place the houses and what the houses were gonna look like because I wanted them all to look similar and like they belong together, but also different and distinct and unique enough to not be like so samey. I also wanted everybody to have yards. I wanted to have that shared barn really badly because I loved the idea of trying to assign a different stall to each house. So there's one big barn that they all share, but each house has their own stall in it. And then I kind of wanted to infuse some personality into each of these houses to have them be kind of different. So like one of them is a farmer, they've got cows and chickens. One of them has a vineyard, so they have a ton of grapes in their yard. One of them has a bigger family, so they've got like a bunch of playground stuff in their yard. I was really trying to make them all very unique in that that way. And I was also kind of trying to make them a little bit weird. This house that I'm working on right now, I think is kind of objectively a weird shape. And I wanted it to look good from the side because the front of this lot is actually the side of these houses just because of how it kind of lays out. But just in general, this build's sort of a weird challenge because I also don't normally try and build 3 houses on one lot. I'm kind of inspired by this though, and it sort of makes me want to try to do something like this in different worlds. I don't know if it's worth the effort for the meme, but what if there was like a blue suburban neighborhood? Do I want to spend 12 hours building blue Suburbans? I don't know, but maybe it might be interesting. And that could be sort of a different style of neighborhood because you could have it be slightly more organized. Like instead of having a windy dirt road between them, there could be more of an organized street. We could try and make an actual fake street using floor tiles and the debug cars, and I think that could be kind of a cool idea. I really, really like the rent pack. I know it has some issues, like with some of the build lag and a couple things like that, but overall, this is some of the most fun I have ever had playing The Sims because I always liked doing stuff like this. I always liked building fake neighborhoods. I used to do this kind of thing all the time in The Sims 3. This was like what I would do in my spare time as a literal child. I just liked the world building almost and the playing pretend that comes with doing stuff like this, but I didn't really do it that often or like make videos on it in The Sims 4 because I felt like there was no point. Why spend like 12 hours making a fake neighborhood when you could only play in one of the houses, and if you wanted to actually play in it, then it would be like so expensive to buy this whole lot and it'd be kind of laggy and weird. But now that we have the rent pack and you can just live in one of them and then even have actual neighbors living in the other, it's so much cooler. It makes it so much more worthwhile to do. I really, really have been enjoying playing with this pack. It's completely changed the game for me. I almost feel like I should apologize because all of my builds recently have been with the rent pack, but it's all I want to do. It's all I've been thinking about. I'm just so excited about it. This truly was like the greatest Christmas gift from the Sims team. They have made the end of the year so magical. It's like everything I've ever wanted to do in The Sims. Everything I've ever wanted to do in The Sims, and I'm not kidding when I say that. But we're kind of moving on now to work on some of the actual window placement of these houses. Most of the effort here just now was me trying to figure out the house placement, but now we're trying to do windows and add in some last minute like interior details. I spent a really long time working on floor plans on these. I guess I kind of built this in a weird order. Definitely different than I would normally do a Sims build order, at least, because first, obviously, I had to figure out the layout and the shapes of the houses. Then I did the floor plans of the houses. Now I'm doing the windows and the painting of the houses. And then I did a lot of landscaping and then very quickly realized that I should stop landscaping. I was really excited about the landscaping because I wanted to try and figure out the whole exteriors and make them all blend together well. But then I was like, no, Kayla, it is a really bad idea to spend all this time and energy landscaping and doing terrain paint specifically before you furnish the houses because of that terrain paint bug. There is a known and very common glitch in this stupid game where sometimes all of the terrain paint on a lot just deletes when you reload. So imagine if I spent like 30-40 minutes doing terrain paint, making it all perfect, and then I come back the next day to start furnishing the house and all of the terrain paint is just gone. So I realized, no, we are not gonna do that. We're gonna furnish the houses first and then do terrain paint last. So I started like half landscaping and then stopped and went to start furnishing, finished each house, and then finished up with the rest of the landscaping and terrain paint. It was really bugging me the entire time I was furnishing because I hated how there was no terrain paint. I really badly wanted to make the road. I was like excited to do it, but just trying to force myself to hold off just to prevent bugs. Sometimes with this game, you have to work with what you got and you have to be prepared. Same reason that I built this as a regular residential lot and then swapped it to a rental at the end. The absolute last thing I did here was assign all of the rooms to the different rental lot types. They did do a patch last week to slightly improve the rental lag, but it still isn't that great, especially when you have a lot of rooms assigned, I've noticed, specifically just in build mode. It's not laggy in live mode or anything, but in build mode, it has all kinds of issues. So I try to leave it to the last moment just because I don't want to have to worry about my game being so slow and annoying. In general, this has been kind of a cool play test for me as well because this lot sort of uses the apartment stuff in a different way than I've been doing. I've built a couple standalone houses as rental lots, but most of them were like really tiny starter homes. So this is by far the biggest residential rental I've built so far. Honestly, it's by far one of the biggest houses in general I've built in a long time just because it's like 4 structures. But also in this case, this is the first time that I've built a rental rental type that has, I guess this is weird to explain, but it's got rooms that are not attached to the main building that are still assigned separately. Because right now, all I've built up until this point is just like big individual units that are all kind of one space. But in this case, I've assigned some separate spaces to the units because each of them has their own space in the barn that is assigned to them separately. And I think that's kind of a cool idea because you could use that for a lot of different things. Like maybe if you're building an apartment building, you could have a basement and there's like a storage room for each unit in the basement. I just have so many ideas. There's so many different things that you can try and different ways to use this pack. I'm so excited to keep building with it. I have such a long list of things that I want to keep doing too. And just to address the elephant in the room, if you're looking at any of the furnishing inside of any of these builds right now and you're thinking, oh God, Kayla, what are you doing? Don't worry. I swear I'm not keeping it. The furnishing that's in there right now is just like filler furniture to help me figure out the spacing of the floor plan. I do this in pretty much every single one of my builds where I'll just like place a random dining table and a random rug and random kitchen cabinets just so I can kind of figure out how much space I need and where stuff is generally gonna go. And then I usually leave it there and then come back and replace it with real furniture later on. But that does mean that for a large percentage of the build video, there's like really ugly furniture in some of the houses that does not match at all. But just so you know, I swear it's not gonna stay. It's temporary and it's used for me to like figure out what I'm working with basically. Now I'm showing you a lot of footage of all of the exteriors right now because that was like mostly what I was working on for multiple days in a row. But I must warn you, I'm not gonna include all of the furnishing in this speed build. I'm actually only gonna show you the sped up footage of one of the places today. I am not kidding when I say that the footage sped up, it would be like a 2-hour long video. And I'm sorry, but there's only so many things that I can talk about. So I'm gonna show you one of the houses sped up, and then at the end, I'll give you a real nice tour of everything else so you can kind of see your way around all the other places. I personally am a huge fan of long YouTube videos. I really, really enjoy watching them. Like, I honestly would just die for a 2-hour long speed build from somebody else. But also, it's Christmas time, and I'm currently trying to pre-record a little bit so I can take Christmas Day off. So, like, does Dan need to edit a 2-hour long speed build this weekend? Does my friend Hope need to do closed captions on a 2-hour long speed build this weekend? Like, maybe that's just not appropriate for a day like today. As much as I would like to do that, I feel like it's probably not fair to anybody else who helps me with my videos to be doing that, so I won't. I will refrain. But if you do want to watch like the full footage, I did post all of the live streams on my second channel. I live stream on Twitch and then I upload those streams to my second channel called lilsimsie, so you can watch all of it on there if you'd like to. I'll link those videos down below as well so you can get started. I don't know if you do want to, but in case you do want to see, I'll link them for you. And right now we are furnishing the biggest of the houses. We've actually moved inside finally. And this is the house with like the big yard that you can see from the front, and they have that kind of weird like 2-story glass wall thing going on. This was my favorite of the exteriors, so I kind of wanted to furnish it first. I was a little bit excited about it. It's also really big. So in total, this house is 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. It also has an office downstairs. I really liked the open floor plan in this kitchen, living, dining area. They have a huge open living space in front of these really big windows. They've got a piano. They have a nice kitchen and dining area, and I really like how the kitchen backs up against the staircase. I know that's a weird thing to point out, but I just thought it was kind of cool. And I'm realizing now that I should probably also warn you, I used so many packs in this build. Sometimes I try to limit packs in my Sims videos, and I'll try to like not use too many, or at least refrain from using some of the weirder packs. But I just watched myself use the My First Pet Stuff blinds. So that's how you know we're off to a bad start. She's already using My First Pet Stuff, which actually isn't even that bad because My First Pet Stuff is free right now. This is probably a good time to mention this again. The Sims team is giving away 2 packs for free. My First Pet Stuff is free and Romantic Garden Stuff is free. You can like buy them for 100% off right now. Annoyingly, My First Pet Stuff is only free on computers, on PC and Mac, but Romantic Garden Stuff is free everywhere, on PC, on Mac, and on console. I think that the reason My First Pet Stuff is not free on console is because on console, there's like a really weird limitation where you have to buy cats and dogs first in order to have My First Pet Stuff. On PC, see you should buy cats and dogs first, but you don't have to, especially if it's free. Like, even if you don't have that cats and dogs pack, still get the free My First Pet stuff. It's just that My First Pet stuff comes with items that only work if you have cats and dogs. So it's like kind of a waste of money if you don't have cats and dogs, because then you won't be able to use like all of the dog clothing, and like the pet bowl is just fake and decorative. So I think on console, there's probably some weird like console-wide restrictions about selling DLC for DLC, but on computers, because EA is selling it through their own store in the EA app, it doesn't really matter. So I assume that's why you can't get My First Pet stuff for free on console. I know that's dumb, but I think that's what's happening. Obviously, Romantic Garden stuff doesn't have that problem because it's not DLC for DLC. You don't need to have anything else for it to work properly. So you can get Romantic Garden stuff anywhere for free, and you should go do that. Like, go claim it right now. I think it's only free until like January 9th or something, so it's gonna be off sale by then. So just make sure you claim it before then. Once you buy it now for $0, you'll have it forever. So just don't forget, okay? I keep reminding people, like, please don't forget. And in general, there's a pretty big sale going on across a lot of Sims packs, so if you're interested in grabbing anything, it might be a good time to get it. The other ones aren't free, but a lot of them are on sale. And also, they're doing a creator code test again, where if you use creators' usernames as like a promo code at checkout, you don't get a discount, but the creator does get a portion of the sale. They like earn a commission on it. Usually the commission is 5%, but during the sale, it's actually 7%. I guess to make up for the packs being cheaper, they're like increasing the commission. So if you do buy any Sims packs, you can use code lilsimsie at checkout, and then I'll get a portion of the sale, but you don't have to use my code. I would just encourage you to use somebody's code. If there are any other Simmers that you like, maybe try and type in their username and see if it works as a code at checkout. There's no harm in doing it. It just makes EA earn less money off the sale and then gives that money to a creator instead, and that's a win in my book. The codes are gonna work until March, so if you're buying any Sims packs between now and then, just keep that in the back of your mind. But anyway, back to the build for a second. We are currently furnishing one of the bedrooms downstairs. So in this downstairs area, I have the primary bedroom, and they have an ensuite bathroom, which I realize is really probably bad. I don't know if you saw, it was just a glimpse for a second, but the bathroom has a ginormous all glass window, which again, probably not the best place for a window that big, but it looked better from the exterior, so I kept it there anyway. This is the beauty of The Sims. Sometimes you can do silly things like have big giant windows right in front of toilets, things that you should never do in real life, but there's no consequence for in The Sims 4. I really like to pick and choose the realism of my builds, if I'm being honest. Like, sometimes I will refuse to do something because I'm like, look, in real life they would never do this. I won't do it in my Sims build. And then other times I'm like, well, it's fine. Just put the sliding glass door right in front of the shower. Who cares? I like my Sims houses to be realistic, but only to a point. And that point is usually when it starts to be annoying for me. Sometimes if I have to let some things slide, I will. It's fine. And right now we are furnishing, I think, my favorite room in the whole house. It's this little tiny nursery, and I used one of the rugs from Horse Ranch to kind of inspire the whole place. It's this little cute sheep rug. It has kind of a beige base and then like some purple and light green accents. So I tried to use that to figure out the color scheme for the room. What I will say is this baby's room is so big. It has no business being one of the biggest rooms in the house. It's also got an ensuite bathroom, which realistically, does the baby need that? Probably not. But in The Sims, I found it kind of useful to have bathrooms right next to where the babies are mostly staying, because as we all know, the infants can be kind of buggy. And I often have trouble getting my Sims to actually bathe the babies. So putting a bathtub very nearby to the baby is best practice. The less your Sims have to walk carrying the infant, the better. It's the same with laundry. The less they have to walk carrying the dirty clothes, the better. Put the hamper like right next to the washer and dryer. Maybe realistically it's better to have hampers in like a bedroom or something, but in The Sims, no. You only need to have one hamper, and if you put it next to the washer, it makes your life so much easier. The Sims do not need to carry it far. They are not smart enough to carry it far. Same with the babies. They're not smart enough to carry the babies anywhere, so just make it easier for them. Give a bathtub right next to the baby. I have done some really chaotic things in my life to try and make the bathtub situation easier for kids in The Sims. Usually it was for toddlers back in the day, and the fact fact that I thought toddlers were bad is almost laughable because the toddlers are like 20 times better than infants ever will be, both in terms of glitches, but also just because toddlers can take care of themselves a bit more. They can like feed themselves and stuff. But in my 100 baby challenge, which actually seems to be a theme today, I don't know why it's coming up so much. I've done it twice now. I'm like halfway through the second time. And the first time I did it, I kept replacing my coffee table with a bathtub. I had such a hard time getting them to walk far to bathe the kid that I just was like, you know what, whatever. I don't need to have a coffee table. Let me just put the bathtub right nearby. It's easier access. It's not at all practical in real life, but it's real practical in The Sims. So I just kept doing it. And actually, I think it's a pro tip. Same for washing dogs. If you need to wash your dog in The Sims, just get a bathtub in an easy location, okay? But now we are finally working on the last bedroom in this house. It's kind of like a teen's room. And I will be honest, this room I actually really don't like. I didn't like the shape of the room. It was so long and skinny. It wasn't really my preference, but I had all those big windows, so I didn't really know how I could better split it up. I guess I could have potentially split it into 2 rooms and had there be like 2 small bedrooms or something, but I kept it as one big one for one teen. It was already a 4-bedroom house, so I don't really need to have an extra one. Looking back on these things, I always think of so many different ways I could have done it that maybe would have been better. Like I could have maybe had these be 2 small rooms, had the big nursery become the primary bedroom, and had the downstairs room be a gym or like an art studio or something, but too little too late. I didn't do that. I have one big teen room instead. And I actually do like the color scheme in here. It's mostly just a shape problem that I didn't love. And the other thing is that there is a balcony outside of that room, but obviously I didn't put a door there. I did that on purpose. I was really kind of going back and forth and struggling a little bit about what I wanted to use those balconies for and how I wanted them to look, because I think in real life it would be cool to have a sliding glass door or like some big balcony access, but there's not any sliding glass doors that I thought looked good in The Sims. I wanted to use those big horse ranch windows, so I told my Twitch chat to just pretend that it was a sliding glass door. It's not a sliding glass door, but just pretend that it is one, and then we will just leave it empty or something. I did try a couple options of like small doors to put next door and stuff. It wasn't really working, and I cared more about how it looked from the front. Plus, I felt like they had enough space in the backyard. They didn't really need to have extra balconies. We already have a little back porch and like a nice back patio and stuff. But my friends, with that, we are kind of finishing up the speed build here. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm only going to show you the sped up version of one of those builds because otherwise this would be way too long. So what I'm going to do now is pop back into the game real time and then show you a tour of the finished product. So this one is on the 64 by 64 lot in Chestnut Ridge, and for some reason the rent is literally billions of dollars. I don't really understand that because I thought they fixed that in the most recent patch, but apparently not. And this is what it looks like when you come in from Manage Worlds. You can kind of see all of the separate units, and what's interesting is you can see their barn stalls assigned to them too from here. I think that's kind of cool. Here's what it looks like when you load onto the lot first. You can see there's a whole bunch that we have to go over, and this is the dreaded terrain paint, which luckily has not deleted itself yet. Just to give you kind of a general overview, I tried to number these units, and maybe I was overthinking this, but I tried to number them like you would find on a real street. So I've got odd numbers on this side. It goes 1, 2, 3. This is the house that you just watched me furnish. It's kind of got this interesting front to it. It's a bigger family home. We'll come back to that one. On this side, this is like the farmhouse that I was building. So in the back, they've got a bunch of plants back here. They also have like a little farm animal area space for cows and chickens. They've got a couple little kids things back here too, even some bees in the back. And then this house is the vineyard, and it kind of has this like mint chocolate color scheme going on with the minty walls and the brown accents, but they have a ton of grapes in their backyard. These are all fake and they're just there because they look good. These are like debug stuff from Horse Ranch, but over here I put real plants. We've got a whole bunch of grapes and then also some other fruit trees because you could use those to make the nectar if you wanted to. And they even have a nectar cellar in the back. When you come in here, they've got like space to actually make the nectar, a desk maybe to, I don't know, do your paperwork for your business or something. And then in the basement, there's an actual cellar to age the nectar. I'll come back to the inside of their house in a minute too, because over here I want to show you the barn first. This is that shared barn I was talking about. In the front, I put a couple horse things so you could use the barrels or the jumps. There's also some stuff around the lot, like we have some barrels and jumps out here too, so if you wanted to use those, you've got some extra options. I even have a horse ball and like some prairie grass, all the things that your horse might need to survive we've got out here. And then in the barn, I assigned each of these to the different units, and I kind of tried to decorate them as though someone actually was like having their horse stay in here. This horse has some ribbons that they've maybe won. I put these on the wall to maybe kind of look like horse blankets. I don't know. I'm not a horse expert. I just play The Sims, but I was kind of taking some advice from chat on the kind of things that we should add in here. There's some more ribbons on this one. I put these fans from the greenhouse kit as well. 3 of the stalls are assigned to different units, and then one of them is set as shared. So I guess if you've got a horse, they could stay in the extra one or something if you needed them to. And then upstairs, we even have this like lofted area with a bunch of hay. And I also put the decor box up here so you can decorate the neighborhood if you want to. Back here in the corner, I put some horseshoes, and I had this vision, these dreams of using this debug shed and then putting a woohoo bush in it. Turns out your Sims can't walk in there. So I was kind of sad about that, but I thought it still looked good. They just unfortunately can't use it. It is purely pretend. It's just there for looks. I wish they could walk in there because that would be so cool, but they're not smart enough to get through the middle. The item isn't set up properly. But that is the entire general layout of the building. I'll show you around the houses that we didn't build together first. So if you walk up here, we've got the mailboxes and like some little plants, maybe a sign. I did put a truck right here, which is kind of annoyingly blocking the front entrance, but I think it looks cool, so I kept it there. And then on this house in number 1, don't worry, this thing is not there on the gallery, I promise. I fixed it, don't worry. In number 1, this is their little porch. They have like some cute rocking chairs. They're supposed to be farmers, so they have a whole bunch of little planter boxes. And I left those empty for you in case you wanted to play here and like plant stuff there yourselves. And then on the inside, when you first come in, we have kind of like a little entryway right here. And then off to the side, we have a huge living room. It kind of has this like red and green vibe to it, but not in a Christmas way, in like a yeehaw way. So we have a fireplace and a TV. We even have a chess table over here. And then down the side, we've got a really huge dining room. I used these curtains from the new pack. Well, I guess Horseradish isn't new anymore. It's not the newest pack, but it's new generally still. I use these curtains sized up. I don't really like them because I think they're kind of small and hard to use on a lot of the windows. They don't really fit the windows from the pack. So I don't really use them that often, but sized up, it looks kind of good. So I put it here in the dining room. And then on this side, we have the kitchen, just kind of a big open space, plenty of room to cook in here. Uh-oh, missing wallpaper. I swear the gallery has this stuff fixed. I'm in an outdated version of the save, okay? I promise. We have a bathroom downstairs too, just a kind of small one. And then upstairs, there's 3 bedrooms. We've got one more bathroom right here in the hallway. To the left, we have the primary bedroom with very similar vibes to downstairs. They have some horse awards too and an ensuite bathroom. This is the kid that I imagine owns the horse with all of the ribbons inside of the barn, and they are a serious horse girl. They have horse everything in their bedroom. This is actually a fox, but I'm pretending it's a horse too. So we have like horse bed, horse lamp, horse rug, horse, horse here. There's a horse toy. It's just everything's a horse thing. And then next to them, they have their sibling who lives here, and they've got a bunch of artist stuff on their walls. We have like some posters and some artwork we've been working on, art supplies, craft supplies, an easel. I went all out with the artsy vibes in here. And then out in the back, this is that farm backyard that I showed you earlier. I really like how the landscaping looks in all the front yards. These are debug plants from both cottage living and horse ranch, and I think together they work really well. And then when you come down the road, you can access the vineyard house. And in the vineyard, they also have some rocking chairs on their front porch. When you first walk in, they've got a small entryway right here too, and then a little bathroom downstairs. I liked the color scheme a lot in this one with these lighter yellow colored chairs, the minty couch. I really loved this frame TV for this room because it matches this furniture like actually perfectly. This is a TV. It looks like art, but it's a TV, so it looks really good on the fireplace right there. It's not a huge living space, it's kind of one long skinny room, but I think it feels very cozy in here. They also have a small office downstairs in this room, and then like a teenager's bedroom in here too. They also have an easel, but I just like painting, so a lot of my Sims have that stuff. I liked this sort of pink and minty color that they've got going on in this room. When you go upstairs, we've got kind of a weird hallway shape that somehow works really well. This is the primary bedroom with a kind of yellow and green color scheme. They've got an extra TV and their own ensuite bathroom. And then across the hall, we have kind of like a dinosaur themed kids room right here, and then like a sheep themed kids room here. And this Sim is lucky enough to have their own balcony. Again, I'm in an outdated save, but on the gallery, there's a telescope on here. I might just replace the lot real quick. You're not getting the full vibes. You need the full vibes. I didn't realize I didn't save the game after I placed that stuff. There we go. See? Okay, so we've got like a welcome mat, a bench, and a little telescope right here. You can also all of a sudden see a whole bunch of extra things that I've placed. We'll get to that too. But in the back, this is the one that has the vineyard. So we've got all of those grapes down here. All of these little things that you're seeing in live mode, those are VFX. So it looks like a weird little square on the ground, but at nighttime, this thing is gonna have fireflies show up. So you won't see the square in live mode, you only see it in build mode. In game, it just disappears and becomes invisible and you see the effects instead. In the back, they had the wine cellar stuff and all of those plants. And now I wanna go back to the front of the lot again for a second so I can show you the build that we actually worked on together today. This is the big house that we furnished together. In their front yard, they had a cute little fire pit, and then down around the front door, they have a bike right here, and you enter in on the side. You come into a small entryway here. You can go straight ahead into a huge office space if you would like to, or you can come to the right into the big open kitchen, live-in, dining space. I really liked the layout and the color scheme in here. I think it works quite well together. They have a huge living room and a nice piano back here. I really liked the look of this rug together with these weird cow print chairs. The kitchen is kind of small for the size of the house, but I think it still looks nice. They've got a kitchen right here. This is the downstairs hall bathroom. Lots of cow print going on in this house, and also obviously the huge windows I warned you about, but at least this window, you can't see like the toilet or shower. It's far away. You can only see the sink, and that's fine. Also, who really is gonna be out here? I guess this is where the horse stuff is. So actually there might be Sims over here who can see you using the bathroom. And there's a toilet right there. You're just riding your horse. Meanwhile, there's a Sim just right there on the toilet. Yikes. Okay, anyway. Down here, this is the primary bedroom, and they are the ones with the unfortunately placed toilet, but that's okay. Don't look too close. Don't worry about it. In real life, you could probably close the blinds. You just can't do that in The Sims. In real life, these could be pulled all the way down, all right? So don't worry, it's fine. I liked this color scheme too with the blue and the bed, and then upstairs, they've got a really nice, kind of huge hallway with actually a lot of wasted space, but it's fine. This part is kind of open to the downstairs. We've got a huge chandelier here. Back in the front, which is kind of a weird way to describe it, but in the front, we have that teens bedroom that I was talking about, the weird and long and skinny one. I tried to give them a closet to try and like separate the space a little bit so it wouldn't be just one big long rectangle. And then they have a hall bathroom right here. Down this way, we have a kid's bedroom. This one kind of has a weird color scheme with like the red and the green and the blue. I thought in particular this chair worked really well with this rug and these beds. I'm not 100% sure about this thing. The red swatch on this is kind of throwing me, but I never use it, so I wanted to give it a try. And it's okay if kids' rooms have kind of funky color schemes sometimes. I think that it's like just a kid's space. It's not all gonna match. And then this was my favorite part. The beautiful little nursery. They had a beautiful rug, some beautiful decor. It's very sheep inspired. We have like a sheep wall decor item too. And they have their own ensuite bathroom as well. And then when you come downstairs, we have this pretty door from the dining room into the patio. There's a grill out here and some rocking chairs. And then in the back, they've got a nice table so you can use the grill and then bring the food out here. They have a couple of their own planter boxes. They also have a swing set back here and 2 additional stables. Cause I figured this is gonna be like a serious horse neighborhood. I wanted to have a lot of horse space. So in total, we have like the 4 in here and then 2 out here. So there's space for 6 horses on this lot. And I guess also space for like goats and sheep if you wanted them to be here too. I didn't technically assign any of the yards to belong to anyone, but I did assign these to belong to this sim. So technically your sims can walk through and like get into the other backyards. And I'm okay with that because I kind of pictured myself like maybe if I was living here in the vineyard, I thought I might just like use the neighbor's house to grow extra plants or like use the neighbor's house to get some eggs on occasion. We're all very friendly. We're okay with like sharing in this neighborhood, I guess. But also like, what if you want to use the other kid's swing set? So I just kind of like the idea of the liveliness of other sims coming here and using all of the yard spaces. But if that bothers you and you wanted to play here, you could just lock the gate. They all have a gate, so you could lock it so other sims can't get into your yard. And that, my friends, is the fully finished horse neighborhood. This has been quite an ordeal, so hopefully you enjoyed watching it. Like I said, I can link all of the Twitch streams down below if you want to go back and watch them. Please don't comment anything mean about my hair. I'm still not really used to it myself, so don't say anything mean or else I might cry. Merry Christmas! I'm posting this video on Christmas Eve, so have a wonderful day if you celebrate, and I am going to catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye, everybody. Oh my goodness, I keep making these absolutely massive builds that take me like a week to finish. It's fun, but wow, this is a big lot.